Welcome to What's Happening. I'm Brad.
I'm Fred.
The show we talk about what's happening. What's happening with you, bro?
Not much, man. Watching Michigan go ahead and secure this Big Ten conference
And
championship.
Here you go. Already off the trash. 17 seconds into the recording.
I'm just saying, you the one that scheduled the recording on the squad on.
Listen, I ain't expect Michigan to be there. That's my bad. You know what I'm saying? The first time y'all beat some Ohio State. Now, let me not even do that because I don't care about no Ohio State. I'm just being petty for no reason. You know what?
I got drugged.
Don't say y'all. Don't say y'all. Don't say y'all. My team beat you. My team beat your team.
Guess what? Did it help y'all? Did it help you? I'm just
You know what?
curious.
Your mama. How about that?
You always gotta go to your mama, Joe. Here we go.
Oh man. And you know,
good though.
we still. What's up?
Said you good though.
I'm good. I had some of that. I had some non-denominational banana pudding today.
Here you go. Shots fired.
And it was wonderful. Shout out to Big Name. We're gonna get you back on the pod soon, bro. Hey, I'm still getting good feedback on everything.
DJ Blue.
I am the DJ Blue. Follow naming on Twitter. But I'm still getting good feedback on everything that we do, man, and I appreciate it. You know, this is the first episode that I'm recording with my new microphones. Hopefully, I don't sound like Squidward anymore. Y'all let me know either way. It's all good. But yeah, man, let's get into it. You know, appreciate the feedback, appreciate y'all rocking with us. And we're gonna get heavy. We're gonna get heavy today. So we are recording this on Tuesday we're recording this.
Where are you at? What?
Listen, we're recording this on Saturday, December 4th. On Tuesday of this past week, there was another another school shooting in Oxford, Michigan. And I'm from Detroit. It's about, depending on what part of the city you're in, Oxford is about somewhere between 45 minutes to an hour north of Detroit. So, you know, not far, you know, from home. I don't have family there. I don't know anybody who directly lives in that area, at least to the very best of my knowledge. And, you know, I don't know anybody that was directly impacted by the events in Oxford. That said, you know, it is still a, you know, sad event, and you know, just heartbreaking. You know, just you pray for those families, and yeah, man. I mean, that's just kind of thing that's just, it has you lost for words, man.
Definitely prayers for the family. The families.
So, you know, we figured we would talk about, you know, gun violence, with you know, given that is kind of, you know, what's going on right now. And what's crazy, bro, and I didn't tell you this before we got started, you know, that happened on Tuesday. Monday, I was in that area.
Oh wow.
I you know, for my job, you know, I do a lot of driving around to different locations to visit and train and do things of that nature. And I have a certain, you know, set or groupings of locations that I visit. You know, I literally have it, you know, it's group A, group B, group C, right? And when I hit that group, you know, I hit the same locations in that group every single time. On this day in particular, I kind of needed to pick up some stuff from lost time and do some other things. And I think I've spoke incorrectly. I think no, the shooting was Tuesday. I'm sorry. Nonetheless, I actually crossed through the Oxford, Michigan area to navigate locations, and I spent some time in Oxford. That I went through some parts of Oxford that I had never gone through before, just by the nature of what I structured, and you know, I got to see, you know, a little bit of the state of that town, or at least what made an impression on me. And again, I don't have family that lives there. I've never lived there myself. And this was the first time that I actually drove through this town in greater detail, right? So I can't help but to think back to the things that I saw on Monday that stood out to me. And I might ruffle some feathers with this, but you know what? It's going to be what it's going to be. We ruffle feathers on this show anyway, right? Whether it be non-denominational pudding or vaccine mandates, you might not like what we got to say. Nonetheless, as I'm driving through this town, it's clearly a very conservative area. One house I passed had a flag that said Trump 2024 will be back. Another house I passed in the area had a flag that said Trump 2020. It was a big, huge, massive, pro-Trump flag, right? And while I was driving through this town, there was a truck that I was behind that said, it had a decal on the back window that read, "Protected by Second Amendment security," with an image of a gun. I say that not with the intention to paint a picture that this is not to paint a picture against conservatives or anything like that. That's not my intention. But what I am saying is that it's clearly a very conservative area, and it's clearly an area that is comfortable with guns, right? That's important for me to highlight, because when you hear the terms gun violence, what do you typically think first when you hear those words?
I mean, somebody got shot by a firearm of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
That's-
Anything else beyond that, or that's just kind of just your surface level thought?
I mean, that's just my surface level thought. You gotta think though. And I'll explain later, but I'm I'm probably gonna have a different stance on it. You know what I mean? And that's because one, I've had a carry concealed. I do have firearms in my house. You know what I mean? I took my kids shooting. So, in some instances, I hear gun violence, or there was either a shooting or somebody got shot. I I don't ultimately think death, but I pray that nobody, what I'm saying, hopefully died from the situation. So that's, you know, just where it's at on the surface level.
Yeah, I asked that question because for me, when I hear the term gun violence, I always think it's something relative to the communities that we grew up in. Typically Black communities, and there is a stigma, I guess is the term I want to use, that is tied to Black communities. So it's these are the kind of people that there's crime in these areas, there's lawlessness in these areas. These people are making these bad choices, and it seems as though every time that we hear about a mass shooting or a school shooting or something in this country, from my perspective, it's never in our communities. It's always in the places that we say, oh my God, I can't believe it would happen here. And it always seems to be in these areas that seem to be pretty comfortable with guns and access to them and things like that. And this may sound as though I'm saying like I'm anti-gun, no one should have a gun or anything like that. I am not that person at all. I do think that there is a certain level of responsibility that is not, let me say this differently. It seems that there's a lack of responsibility and a lack and something missing in the process that causes these situations to happen time and time again. Um, Relative to this situation that just happened this week in Oxford, Michigan, um, for I'm sure by now, by the time we're listening, by the time this comes out, it's going to be over a week since this happened, and um, the child that committed the shooting of he 11 people, 11 victims, 4 of which are now deceased, all under the age of 18, all children. um he had access to this gun in his house and it wasn't secured, and the issue with that is that if those of you that are following the story, that there were clear signs that there was something um mentally not right with this child, and that the parents have been warned. And not only were they not addressing those issues in a serious manner, but they also left the gun with easy access to a child to get and to do damage. And that's exactly what happened.
Okay, that that is ultimately what happened. But what I am gonna say is it's okay because it's quite a bit. But number one, yes, he probably had access to it, easy access to it. But in most conservative areas or homes, you do because you grow up shooting. You grow up learning how to handle a firearm. You grow up learning how to clean a firearm. You grow up learning when and when not to, you know what I'm saying, use a firearm. It's there for your protection. When I when I was in 4th grade, I had a teacher named Mr. Moffett, Cameron Moffett. Um, and I'll never forget we were going on some type of break, might have been fall break or something like that, I believe. And he was going around the class and said, "Hey, what you guys gonna do? Whatnot for fall break?" And we're like, "Well, hey, Mr. Marvel, what you gonna do for fall break?" And he was like, "Well, you know what? Glad you asked." He's like, "My little boy just turned 5. I just bought him a 22 rifle. We're gonna go out to the woods and I'm gonna teach him to shoot." In the 4th grade, that blew my mind. Like, what in the world? 5 years old? I'm like, there's no way, you know. But once they, definitely get to a teenager, most of them got a 9 millimeter or something. You know, it's not theirs, but it's theirs. If they go to the range or if they go out in the, on the acreage and go shooting, they got their own little set of, what I'm saying, firearms that they shoot that's theirs, and then they shoot their dads and their pawpaws and what have you. You know what I'm saying? But it's a normal thing. You know, when a lot of people look at gun violence, they want to always point fingers at, oh, well, there need to be stricter laws, or, they're too easily accessible, or why does this keep happening? But what they fail to realize, gun violence is not happening by law-abiding citizens. So I say that to say, even if you made it extremely hard, someone who intends on using, what I'm saying, gun violence in the act of harm or in a illegal nature is going to do it with or without restrictions and what have you. Because at the same time, you got trade shows and whatnot. They can't check to see if you're a felon. You know what I mean? Not only that, If you at the trade show and you see his firearm you want, and you also brought something that you didn't mind getting rid of or thinking about trying to trade it in and maybe paying a couple extra $100 to get the firearm you're looking for, but somebody over here next to you is like, hey, look, I'll buy that one off of you right now for $350. You like, shoot, go ahead. Hey, why? Because he's in the trade show. So you expect or assume if he's here, he's legal to buy a firearm. You don't know what the intention is.
That's fair.
You know what I'm saying? So and it's not just in that aspect. You know, it happens in all different aspects. People who are gonna break the law are gonna break the law, no matter how you slice it. And then to go back to the other point of when you say 9 times out of 10 when you hear of gun violence, you think of our community. And you're wondering why a lot of those issues are in our community. But it goes back to the point of what I said that's in the more conservative community. If we taught our children at a younger age how to use them properly, you know, what they're used for, why to use them, it would slow a lot of it down. And the reason I say this is because you're not going to be as quick to target somebody that you know how to use them. Not as frightened as them when they see them. They're not going to freeze up, you know what I mean, because it's not their first time seeing a firearm being brandished in front of them. You know what I mean? So now you're taking a risk of, well, they might have one too. Because see, everybody around here using them. You're not going to break into people's houses in your community as quick when you know there's more of them around and more people have them. We do it because 9 times out of 10 we know we have the upper hand, and that's usually what it's used for, is the upper hand.
Yeah. Now, I'm not against people owning guns, having guns, teaching your protecting your family, teaching your children how to protect their family when they get older. I'm not against that at all. My point is that we seem to have a real problem in this country with regards to mass shootings on a seemingly daily basis. And
hold on, time out.
Okay.
How do you say we seem to have a huge problem? What makes you base that? Like, what makes you feel that we have a huge problem with gun violence in this country?
All right, so just on a quick Google search on my phone, I searched mass shootings. There's an article that pops up from the New York Times. It says a partial list of mass shootings in the United States in 2021. And just real quick, there's the first image on this article is an image of the United States map, and it says on May 26th in San Jose, California, 9 people were killed. On May 9th in Colorado Springs, 6 people were killed. March 22nd in Boulder, Colorado, 10 people were killed. I feel like that was a grocery store, and I feel like I remember that one. On March 31st in Orange, California, 4 people were killed.
Okay, I get what you're saying, but what I'm saying is, what do you have to measure up that this is a huge issue? Like, for the amount of population we have in America, you know what I'm saying, and the amount of deaths that, you know what I'm saying, kind of happen to balance out, I guess you say, the births that are happening as well. What are you measuring this to as it's an issue or it's a problem? Like, how big of a percentage is gun violence to death in America as to the other causes of death in America?
Well, I think the number one cause of death in America right now is COVID, but I don't want to go back to last week's episode. And that's not funny, but I just I don't want to do that.
But that's what I mean. I'm being real. Now, I mean, I'm only asking because I'm trying to get at something as well.
So when you look at mass shootings in the United States versus other countries, so just a quick little research on Google on my phone. An article comes up from BBC. Says just a quick scroll. How does the U.S. compare to other countries? There were 14,400 gun-related homicides in 2019.
For who?
For the United States.
Okay. And how much was it for the other countries?
Oh, no. That was in total. And 73% of those were in the United States.
So the other 27% is outside the United States? Is that what you're telling me?
No, I'm looking at that wrong. Hold on. Oh, international. Oh, this is. I'm sorry, because again, y'all know we don't script this show. We do everything live and in color.
I mean, I think you're embarking on what I was getting at in the first place. So
so this says the international comparison of gun-related homicides, killings as a percentage of all homicides. So for homicides in the United States in 2019, 73% of the homicides were gun-related. In Canada, 39% were gun-related. In Australia, 22% were gun-related. And in England and Wales, for 2020, I don't know why they have that here, but 4% were gun-related. So
stop.
Okay.
Real quick. So, do you know what the difference is between the United States and the rest of those countries?
We own the most guns.
No.
Well, yes, but what else? What else are you wanting me to do? What else are you wanting to know? Or what else? What's your point? Sorry.
They're not allowed to have guns in those other countries. They're strictly a gun banished. The only people allowed to have guns in other countries, there's only 2 countries that's legally to have guns, and if I'm not mistaken, it's either like Switzerland or New Zealand. Don't quote me. In the United States, all the other countries, if you get caught with a gun, you're going to jail. It's illegal. So think about that.
So to your point, this article says Switzerland and Finland are 2 of the European countries with the most guns per person. They both have compulsory military service for all men over the age of 18. The Finnish Interior Ministry says about 60% of gun permits are granted for hunting, a popular pastime in Finland. Going back up to what I was saying about the U.S. having the most guns, this article says that the top 10 civilian gun owning countries, the U.S. is far and away number 1. Firearms per 100 residents. So for every 100 U.S. citizens, we have 120.5 guns. In second place is Yemen. Per 100 Yemen residents, they have 52.8. If we go down to Canada, Canada's down, just to keep it with what we talked about earlier. Canada has 34.7 per 100. And then those other 2 countries, Australia and England and Wales, are not in this slide or not in this this image. So yes, we have more guns. We have more guns than people.
Not only do we have more guns, but we got laws as well. You know what I'm saying? So that allow us to have them.
Mm-hmm.
So you're telling me you're naming countries that's having homicide, gun violence that's not supposed to have a gun. Explain that. So, you know what I'm saying? When people say that, you know what I mean? Oh, well, we need stricter laws. You still, to my point, people who plan on committing violence or plan on, you know what I'm saying, doing violence is, you know, like literally going to do it regardless. And that's just, you know what I'm saying, to the nature of like, if you want to or don't want to.
Yeah, but it's not even numbers. We're talking 73% in the U.S. versus Canada across the street from me is 39%. So it's not like we're talking like it's just as easy. It's yes, criminals are going to commit crime. the moment that you commit a crime, you're a criminal. But obviously, the access to the ease of access to the weapon in the United States is obviously attributing to the gun-related homicides in the United States. It's a clear evidence. We have more guns than people, and the super majority of homicides in the United States are done with a gun.
I mean, you can have that point, but it's still, you know what I mean. The reason that there's more guns than people is because we're allowed to have them here. You know what I mean?
And I'm not saying that
it,
they're
we not
allowed
allowed
to
to,
have
so
them.
they're sneaking them in and they're keeping them hidden. So truthfully, I'm sure that number that they're giving is very much slighted, because if somebody does own a gun, they're not going to tell that they own one when they're not supposed to have it.
Wait, what? Say that again. That didn't make sense to me.
Basically, if you're doing research and surveys, it's basically like the census, and you know how it goes in black neighborhoods. Census people pull up, they ain't trying to tell you how many people in the house, none of that. They don't want you to know because they scared you finna go and mess up Section 8 or what have you. They don't know, so they, you know how they, oh, just me and my daughter. That's all that's in here, and it's 15 people behind that door. You know what I'm saying? Like straight up. So it would be in the same aspect if you're not supposed to have firearms or what have you. You're not gonna say, hey, you know what I'm saying? We got firearms. So those numbers for those other countries, you know what I mean? You don't really know how many firearms is in your country if your citizens aren't supposed to have them.
So then, for that perspective, you would say that there's more guns than what's being reported in this data. And let me make this point just while it's top of mind. This article that I'm referencing from BBC News, it looks like it was originally produced on October 27th. I'm sorry, October 3rd, 2017, but it was updated on April 8th of 2021. Just want to make sure I have that out there. So if anybody says, hey, you're resourcing an old article, yes, it is old, but it was updated this year.
Right. But it's just for dialogue purposes, but I mean, it can be, and it may not be, but I'm just saying you won't really know, because if you're not supposed to have them, then you're not going to report them. You know what I mean? So I'm feeling like those are for the ones who are able to be permitted and have been permitted, whether it's military or, saying police officials or what have you. But then also look at it in how many stabbings, are homicide related in the U.S. versus other countries.
Well, it's probably going to be it's going to be flipped upside down. If 73% are by guns, the other 27% are going to be by stabbings, strangulation, vehicle run type deals, stuff like that. Like I said, the guns
they would, but you know what I'm saying, but they would have a higher in that because why? They're allowed to have those items. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm getting at. Like if they were allowed to have guns, then it may be an even across the board, or you would see similar numbers.
Yeah,
but because they're not,
it's easier to shoot 11 people than it is to stab 11 people. This kid in Oxford, he shot 11 people. You can't stab 11 people just as easy. More people can run and get away. You can't run from a bullet.
I get what you're saying.
But
you're saying just wouldn't be mass stabbings, you know what I'm saying? So because it wouldn't be mass stabbings, it would be okay. You know what I mean?
I'm not saying that.
Feel it.
So just, because that part is important too. Like, yes, like obviously, like, and that's just a whole different episode. We can get into like how black on black crime is BS, because if you're ever murdered, God forbid, more than likely it's going to be by somebody you know. Black people tend to be with black people, just like white people tend to be to white people. That's a whole nother episode why black on black crime is a BS concept. to distract, but I don't want to get to that point. But what I'm saying to that point is that you don't hear about. I can't recall ever hearing of a mass stabbing. I'm sure it's happened. I can't recall it. I know we just had the one crazy situation in Wisconsin where he ran over people at the parade. So like obviously like crazy stuff will still happen, right? People are crazy. It is flat out the world that we live in. But what's also true is that we have factual data that says that you are far more likely to be killed by a gun in the United States of America than you will anywhere else you go. And that doesn't mean that we need to take away guns. Obviously, people have done good with guns.
Has it always been like that though, all our life?
Say that again.
Has it always been like that, like all our life? Like say, in the 80s, was it still in the 70% that people died, you know what I'm saying, from homicide?
Well, I don't know, but I want you to try to make this point.
Why?
Because I feel like
I'm just
I
saying
love you, bro,
it
but
might
this
just be
ridiculous.
No, I'm just saying it just might be that, you know what I'm saying, we have more exposure to it now. That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean? That it's because we have social media and different platforms that share, you know what I'm saying, a lot more things that's going on, you know, it's not hidden as much. You know what I'm saying? That's what it probably would have been back then. So I'm just curious to know if, you know what I'm saying, the same amount of people died from homicide was, you know what I'm saying, in the 70 percentile in the 80s, and did we just not know about it as much because, you know, media wasn't what it is today.
Okay, so Statistica.com has an article that says number of firearm deaths in the U.S. from 1990 to 2018, and just here on the first page, in order from 2006 on up through 2018, 30,896, 31,224, 31,593, 31,347. So it went down about 150 in 2009, but in 2010 we're back up to 31,672, 32,351, 33,563. It's just going up and up and up and up and up into 2018, 39,740. So in the 12-year period or 13 calendar year period from 2006 through 2018, we went from 30,896 gun-related deaths to 39,740 gun-related deaths. So if I go to see more data, if I go all the way down to the 90s, so actually in 1991, it was 38,000. 1993 was 39,595. And from there, it was a slow decline. It went down dramatically from 94 to 95. And it went down. We got into the 20,000s. And it looks like our low point was in the year 2000 at 28,663. And
that's probably because everybody was worried about the Y2K shit. They ain't had time to kill nobody.
You crazy for that. And it's basically been, subtle dips, but a steady climb for the most part from the year 2000 through
to my point, but to my point, you can say, you know what I'm saying, it's pretty much been consistent throughout time. That it's been up there, it's been down, it's been up, it's been down. But you just said in 93 it was 39, and just in what you just say 2000 something, it was 39.
So the height was 1993. 1993 was 39,595, and this is just in the United States, not the world, like that last article.
Right.
And then in 2018 it was 39,740. 740. So the height was 1993, but we saw a steady decline after that point until the year 2000. So it wasn't really like up and down. And the years that it went down, we're talking
Minimum.
0.5%, maybe not even that much. We've basically seen a steady climb since the year 2000 back up to the 90s level. So to your point about like more exposure and things of that nature,
I'll be right. Is we just see it more now. You know what I mean? We didn't get the news in
well,
California and Ohio, you know what I'm saying, unless it was something catastrophic, you know what I'm saying? Not saying that a mass shooting is not, you know what I'm saying, catastrophic, but it's it's just what it is. You didn't in the 90s, you didn't see, you know what I'm saying, the news from all across the world like you do today.
well, hold on. I don't know how fair that is because in the 90s, I mean, in 1993, I was 7. I wasn't watching the news. I was watching Power Rangers. You know what I'm saying? So like, I don't see
But
that as an appropriate comparison to the time. Yes, it's
but
more
it
exposed
is
because of the internet and because of social media and things of that nature. But also the numbers are rising up, so we have it in our face that it's more exposed. And now we're smarter than we were in 1993, and we have
no, it's proven it's more exposed, like in all aspects, not even just with gun violence, but in all aspects, it's more exposed. Like back then, you know what I'm saying? Like if it wasn't JFK being assassinated, or if it wasn't, you know what I'm saying, Aaliyah dying, or Pac, or Big, you know what I'm saying? Like you didn't hear about just normal stuff. You know what I'm saying? If it wasn't plane crashing in the sun, you didn't hear about stuff that's happening in New York every day. You know what I'm saying? Just because. You know what I'm saying? You had your local news. You didn't get that CNN. Everybody, anything you change to it is showing the same thing type of deal. You know what I mean? Unless it was something huge, it you didn't know about, you know what I'm saying, those type of things that was going on. You had to literally be somebody. You know what I'm saying? I think the biggest mass shooting we heard about in our time was Columbine. You know what I'm saying? Like literally.
yeah. Ooh, I just thought of a spicy take. I wonder if 1993 was the height of it and it went down, wasn't 1994 the year that they did that crime bill with mandatory sentencing? Oh, I probably shouldn't have said that on wax.
Crime bill and mandatory sentencing.
Isn't 1994 the year that happened? I feel like that was the whole thing Trump campaigned on, was that Joe Biden was the leader of the 1994 crime bill. I feel like that's all I heard for 2021 or for 2020 in the
I
election.
I don't know what that bill is. Boy, these boys getting smoked.
Fred, we already trying to have a real conversation. Yeah, the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act Bill in 1994, commonly referred to as the 1994 Crime Bill, the Clinton Crime Bill, or the Biden Crime Law, is an act of Congress dealing with crime and law enforcement. It became law in 1994. So that's the one where the mandatory sentencing and like I'm not saying that was a good bill to have or anything like that, but it seems like that coincided with the precipitous drop in in gun violence. So I guess the question now is, what happened in 2000 that ramped it back up?
What was at its lowest in 2000, 2001, and started ramping back up?
Fair enough. So what happened in 2001 that ramped it back? That ramped it back up.
I was. I mean, I would have to say it had to do something with coming out of the Y2K. I mean, that was the biggest thing in 2000. You know what I'm saying? So I figure it's coming out of that. You know what I mean? And I know it might sound crazy, but Monty was one of them she was nuts about that. She had us filling up jugs of water. She was saving canned goods. Like, it was crazy to her. So I don't know what everybody else folks had thought about it or whatnot, but my auntie was tripping. Like, my mom was like, "Girl, ain't nothing finna happen." She's like, "Look, all right, y'all gonna all be at my house talking about you the only one to listen." Like,
Listen, listen, and me and my church going family, we gonna be all right. If it's gonna be that bad, Jesus gonna come through and rapture us on up. We gonna be all right.
hey, I mean, we was at church. I never forget. Cause soon as watch service hit 12 o'clock, I was looking like, is lights gonna go out? Like, how this gonna go down?
Man, I didn't go to watch night service that night. I was with my grandmother, my nunny, rest in peace. And I remember stressed after midnight, ain't nothing happened. And she was like, I knew one nothing gonna happen. But you know what? I also think that like stuff like that, where we have these great things that we're told to be afraid of, and then they don't happen, and then we just become skeptical of stuff too. So I don't know, man. Listen, regardless of the exposure to it, we have clearly seen a rise in gun violence over the last 20 years for sure. Basically every single year. And to the point where in 2018, this article didn't have 2019. I'm not going to spend the whole podcast on Google. But from 2011 from 2001 to 2018, we basically saw an increase every year to the point where we went from just around 30,000 deaths to almost 40,000 deaths related to guns in the United States every single year. And then we also have other data that says that when it comes to homicides, when it comes to someone being killed, the super majority of those murders in the United States are happening with the gun. It's just, yes, criminals are gonna be criminals, but something's got to change. And I'm not necessarily saying that you got to take guns away and can't nobody have a gun. That doesn't seem. First off, it's the Constitution, so.
That's not gonna fly.
Let me just go on this rant. Real quick. Guns ain't going away. Guns are not going away. It is impossible. You're
going to kill a whole lot of people.
It's impossible. According to the law, it's not impossible, but realistically, it ain't gonna happen. I think you need 2/3 of the states, which means you need 38 out of the 50. That ain't happening
at all.
I don't think you can get. I don't think you can get 3 out of the 50.
Nah, you might pull for a good 10, but that's it.
Yeah, I don't see it. But something's got to happen. These kids.
But to me, it's just a line to get some votes in. It's just, we're gonna ban them, knowing they can't. You know what I mean? But it just sounds good to people that want something done about it.
And that's the other thing too. When people talk about like banning guns, I don't know who's calling for guns to be banned. I've never actually heard that.
I mean, they have it, and I think the reason.
Who is they?
From my understanding, Hillary Clinton started, and then whatever, and the Camilla, she was on it as well, her and Biden. But I think the biggest fear comes from people who have carry conceals, people who have been through different trainings or listen and watch different videos where people are trying to sell you on different training tactics stuff and whatnot. They use that, and they use videos with people from other countries like, you guys are the last country standing. I remember when we had our firearms and they made us all turn them in. If not, they were coming to doors, taking them. And we just watched them take them and throw them in a big pile, burn them, melt them down. And so basically they became helpless as a community. Like they can't stand and fight for themselves. They, like if they ever want to have a disagreement, with anything bigger than them, what can they do? And they realize it. And that's why you have a lot of these countries where, you know what I'm saying, they don't rotate, you know what I'm saying, prime ministers and whatnot and queens and it's inherited and passed on. Ain't no voting going on. And even if somebody want to change how they do that, how they gonna do it? What they gonna stand up and fight with? These? They got guns. They got guns. You know what I'm saying? And that's the reality to it.
This is the way you said these.
Hey, listen. It ain't no point. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the other part to it is what people really be thinking is like it's not just the fact that, you know, them taking it, it's after they take it. You know what I'm saying? If we say no, they just kill us. Ain't nothing you can do about it. You just get killed. You disagree, you get killed. You act out, you get killed. You try to persuade somebody else, you get killed. You know what I'm saying? At this point, it's like, you disagree. I'm gonna try to talk it out with you. You know, we might detain you. You know, I'm gonna call for backup or something. But they already know it ain't just no. I done seen you done seen plenty of times where one man had a standoff and they got 30, 40 cops out there. One person, one gun. Some of them have more than one gun, but they bring the whole cavalry. It be one person inside. You'd think it's 20 people, 50 hostages. Like they got something really going on. It be one person with one gun. So it shows you, it gives you, you know what I'm saying, a little bit of power. I mean, it truthfully, your firearm should be for hunting and for protecting. That's it. That's all. You know what I mean? You don't need them for anything else. Hunting and protecting. If you're not going out to kill what you gonna eat, or going out to kill it and clean it and sell it, because some people aren't meant to be hunters. You know what I'm saying? So, but everybody got to eat. So if you're not going out to be the hunter, and you're not at home protecting, you shouldn't have to. But the world we live in now, you never know. You be
Now,
somebody staring at the gas station at this point.
now that I agree with you. You should be able to hunt to feed your family for sure. You should be able to protect your family for sure. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But if we continue to leave things the same that they've been, the same way we've been doing things for 200 years or however long this country has been existing and been racist, I ain't gonna do that. But however long this country been existing, you get Oxford, you get Charleston, you get Sandy Hook, you get Columbine. And so what I'm saying is that I ain't with taking guns all the way from everybody, period. But something got to change, bro. Something got to change.
And I mean, I agree. Something do got to change, bro. Like that's 100%. You know what I'm saying, the truth. But I I think change starts. You know what I'm saying, at home. You know what I'm saying. You gotta get a hold of your kid and talk to them and get them the help. You know what I'm saying, that they need essentially to change whatever it is. Like, we don't ever know what really be sending these kids over the edge.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, not until it's too late, you know. And as a parent with 7 kids, it's like sometimes, you look at it, you like, I don't even know how to separate the time for each and every one of them to make sure they all feel, you know what I'm saying, like they all loved equally, you know what I'm saying? Like, I make sure I let them know, you know what I'm saying? But sometimes it's more than just letting them know. So, and sometimes you might love them equally. You might love them enough. You might not have as many kids, and it's not as hard to love them, but it's still, is it the bullying at school? Is it, what I'm saying? They're just scared to open up and talk to you about whatever it is that, what I'm saying, is bothering them. It might could be just literally kids making fun of what they're wearing, and all they gotta do is say something to their parents, and it changed it. But then again, you got some parents who are like, look, I'm not getting into what all the kids at school care about. They don't live. So, I mean, it's hard all the way
Now,
around the board.
I'm gonna make 2 points to what you just said. 2 points to what you just said. You just said it starts at home, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So when this whole Oxford situation happened, I remember it had to be in 6th grade based off where home was. It was the last day of school or the second to last day of school, one of the two. And at one of the lunch periods, this girl got some food thrown at her. And I kind of forgot the situation happened until just the other day. So this is story time with your boy, I guess, for this week. And rumor is that old girl said, I'm leaving the school. I'm coming back through with my cousin. And he's bringing a gun. And we gonna handle the school up because she got some food thrown at her. School found out about it. We got out of school early. They sent us home. Nothing happened. Nobody got hurt. Nobody got shot. Nobody got beat up. Ain't nobody come up to the school to try to shoot no kids. This is in Detroit. This is on the west side of Detroit in the hood, right? Now, I'm blanking on it at the moment. And again, I'm not trying to spend the entire podcast on Google. But there were multiple behavioral concerns with the killer at Oxford High School. The suspect, I'll do it the right way. With the suspect of the homicide of the shooting at Oxford High School, there were multiple instances. He had a parent-teacher conference, and there was either a disturbing drawing or disturbing something that was written on paper. I think it was a drawing that a teacher saw and was like, "Yo, this is not cool." And the teacher reached out to the mom, and you and I talked about this before we started recording.
Mm-hmm.
The teacher reached out to the mom, called, left a voicemail, and then sent an email and said, "Hey, this is concerning."
Right.
The mom did not reach back out to the school. She sent a text to the suspect and said, "LOL, I'm not mad." This is a quote. "LOL, I'm not mad. You have to learn to not get caught," end quote. So to your point about it starts in the home, it absolutely does start in the home, right? And when you are going to teach your child how to do these things, you have to teach them. It's your job as a parent to understand if they are truly ready for that. If they're truly ready for that. Things that I talk about with my 12-year-old, I don't talk about with my 8-year-old. The things that I talk about with my 8-year-old, I'm not talking about with the 6-year-old. And so on and so forth, right? It's your job as a parent to understand where your child is. What work have you done to get them to that point? You don't just do it because, oh, I did this when I was 5. It's fine. Every person is an individual, right? And some conversations, and to that point, my 8-year-old, some things that I could say to him when he was 6, my current 6-year-old, we don't have those conversations just yet. Right? It's my job as a parent to understand where each one of these children are at, right? And it's not necessarily relative to their age. That certainly plays a role in it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also about understanding who they are as a person. It's about being involved in your children's life, right? And you were just talking about that a few minutes ago, you may not be able to show. You said you were. It's a balancing act to give that care and attention to all 7 of them. Woo! God bless you, bro.
It ain't easy, but hey, it's fun. Every day is something different. Trust
Absolutely.
me.
But but that's where you say it starts at that home. It's up to parents to recognize it, because again, every time one of these situations happen, it's, I can't believe that happened here. Not in our community, not for us. And then I didn't know if I was going to do this, but I'm going to go on this little rant too, since we here. I've said it on a few times. If you know me, you already know this, but I'm a person that's grew up in the church my whole life. My father was a preacher. I got plenty of preachers in my family. I said before, my mom is saved, sanctified, baptized, and filled with the precious Holy Ghost, all of that, right? So I get mad when I see this situation happen. And then you see, I was driving home from work and I saw a billboard that said, "Pray for Oxford." That stuff makes me mad, right? And listen, we said it too at the beginning. We said, hey, we praying for these folk, right? But I get mad about that because, and this is not necessarily meant to be church. This is just who we are as people. But, forget it. I'm going to do it. The Bible says that faith without work is dead. Mm-hmm. So everybody that's praying, everybody praying for Oxford, and then you prayed for Boulder when there was a shooting that happened there earlier this year, and you prayed for Charleston when there was the 9 people in Charleston that were shot, and you prayed for Columbine back in 1999, and you pray for this and you pray for that and you pray for this and you pray for that. Do something behind it too. Mm-hmm. And I'm off that soapbox. That's the benediction.
Hey, I mean, truthfully, I think that's a great point to end on. Folks, guns don't kill people. People do. Like I said, it's not a need to ban the guns, because people who, that wants to do illegal activities or violent crimes are going to do them anyway. And, it starts at home. You know what I'm saying? See what they up to. See what's bothering them. Ask some questions. That's all I got.
Listen, man. Always a good conversation with my brother here.
Always.
Let us know how y'all, what y'all think about it. Are we crazy? And listen, let me just say this too. I appreciate all my folks rocking with me, listening to the show every single week. But if y'all want to help me out, take it to the next level. I get a lot of messages saying, hey, I'm loving the show. Hey, I can't believe this fool said non-denominational banana Thanksgiving, all of that, right? I love all of that. Don't get me wrong. But the purpose of Whus Hattnin is to have conversation. Don't just have a conversation with me. Hit us on those socials. Use the hashtag Whus Hattnin. Tag us in a Twitter post. Hit that Instagram and comment under the show post or the little clips that you see. All of that. Get involved. And if you like the show, if you rock with us, subscribe to us on your podcast app, right? Make sure you hit the bell to get the notifications so that every Wednesday when them episodes pop up on your phone, you ready to go. You ready to rock with us. Tell a friend about us. Share us out, on your socials, whatever it takes. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep these conversations going, because this is the reason why I wanted to start this podcast. I'm just saying this right now is because we just need to have conversation. And you said something to this effect on last week's episode, but we just need to have conversations with each other. So I appreciate y'all having conversations with me. I'm not saying I don't want to talk to y'all, but I'm saying that a lot of y'all that's talking to me need to be talking to each other too. And we need to be talking to the people in our homes and in our families and in our community. Let's talk. And let's come up with solutions together. Follow us on our socials. Fred is Mr.humble_beginnings. I know his socials better than he do. I'm Archbishop Swag. Don't ask me about it. It's been my name for 10 years. Just follow the show at Whus Hattnin. We on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Subscribe. Leave us a 5-star review in Apple. Tell a friend about us. Tell a bunch of friends about us.
Yeah.
And we out.
Peace.
Y'all have a good one. I'll see you next week, bro.
See ya.